Well, or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one.
This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by Icom America. All right, and hello out there to everybody out there. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB. Hey, tonight we've got Josh with us and we've got Jason with us. It's going to be a great show. And let me tell you, Katie called in tonight and said she wanted to take a day of vacation, so we gave her another vacation day. Boy, she gets a lot of vacation. In fact, she almost gets as much as I do. But anyway, we love Katie, and she'll be back next week. I've got to make an announcement at the beginning of the show in case anybody came to see Riley, because Riley, the special counsel to the FCC, retired, was supposed to be on tonight to talk about the volunteer program, the monitor program. What is it? Not Josh? Jason, how do you say it? The monitor volunteer program? I guess that's it.
Isn't it volunteer monitor?
Man, I don't know. But anyway, he can't make it tonight. Microsoft did an update. Microsoft did an update on his computer and broke it, and he cannot get Skype to run at all. It crashes every time he tries to bring it up. So we'll have him going by next week, and Riley will be back next week to talk about the ARRL Volunteer Monitoring Program. Now, you know, Riley was recently elected a director of the ARRL, and he resigned, and he now is taking on the director of this ARRL Volunteer Monitoring Program. So there was a lot of activity, a lot of discussion about it today on one of our postings, and sorry, but Riley will be with us next week. If you're out there listening on WBCQ, International Shortwave Station from Monticello, Maine, it's on 5130. If you've got internet, go ahead and try to get on the internet and join us at w5kub.com and join in with the chat room, and you can watch the video and you can see us and all that kind of good stuff. If you're new, I saw a couple of new people in the chat room. If you're new tonight, let us know. Tell us in the chat room if you're new. We'd like to say hello to you. We picked up a few new people in the 40-meter net tonight. Josh said he even heard us out in California. We were weak, but he heard us out there.
I did. Solid 3-3.
Yeah. So if you don't have anything to do on Tuesday nights before the show, please join our 40-meter net. It's usually about 7180 kilohertz at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Join our Facebook group. It's got about 7,000 members and growing every day. It's called W5KUB. Just put that in for a search in Facebook and you'll find us there. And don't forget, we want you to join Josh and Jason in their social media channels and Facebook groups too, and we'll get all those, we'll give those URLs and information to you here in a few minutes. Let's see what's going on here. Hey, a quick note. I talked to Bill Brown this week, WB8ELK, and Bill is the master of high altitude balloons, and he told me this week we might be able to launch this week, maybe by this weekend. He's been watching the weather for a month, and we're going to be launching our high altitude balloon. It's supposed to fly between 40 and 50,000 feet. We hopefully it's going to stay up for about a year. We're going to try to break a record. Some of these balloons have stayed up a year easily and do 20, 30 revolutions around the Earth. We want to try to do the same thing. It's going to report its position every 2 minutes by whisper, And we'll have all that information on our website on W5KUB, where you can actually watch it and track it on a daily basis. And we'll probably have Bill on here every week to give us an update, how cold is it where the balloon is, and how fast is it traveling, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat. So let's do this. Let's jump over to our remotes here and talk with our, if I can get the right mouse. Guys, I'm not on codeine cough medicine tonight like I was last week, although I need to be. So I'll try to turn the mic down if I have to make any terrible noises. Let's look and see who's out here now. Here we go. Hey, we got Josh and we got Jason there. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
All right. So Josh, now, did you leave work early today?
I did. I have a long story that I was telling some people in the chat. I fell this morning and kind of bruised myself up a bit. My kid sprayed soap all in the bathtub. I'm using their bathroom because we had a flood. And this is a long story. I won't go into it. In the master bathroom. So while that's getting worked on, I slipped and fell and just totally ate it. So I came home a little bit early today, but I figured fortuitous I can be here a little bit early and get set up. Now I have my green screen working, as you can see behind me, so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, am I backwards? I think I'm backwards. I should flip my video.
Yeah, you're backwards.
Yeah, you are backwards. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Now you're looking good, man. You're looking good.
It's that easy. The magic of internet.
Yeah. Hey, well, I last week you had some plumbing problems. Is that kind of a carryover to today?
Well, it's carrying over in the sense that we have two bathrooms, and I'm using the kids' bathroom normally to shower in the morning that I wouldn't normally, and that's why I fell. But yeah, the same child who sprayed soap in the tub decided to flush many things in the toilet, and that led to a mainline sewer blockage, and so
man.
That flooded into the master bathroom, which also decided to share. Oh man, and my video's freaking out. Decided to share with the with the master bedroom, and now we have that problem. So let me.
Hey, I like the way you're doing your video there.
I know.
Send me
like
some.
I'm adding a filter.
Send me some information on how you do that, man.
Yeah, I don't even know how.
That would be.
You can see that though. There's
Yeah.
with my new 891 that I've been playing with.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So that camera seems to be working all right. No, this one's still screwed up.
Well, slap the camera. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Hey, that fixed it. That
fixed it for a second.
It's like every time. Wait.
There, you got it. It must have something to do with the autofocus or something.
It's just it might be.
Because when you got close, it locked right in.
Oh, you keep talking and I'll figure this out.
Yeah, okay. Well, while you're trying to figure that out, let's go over to Jason. And man, what have you been doing, Jason?
Oh man, I've been just daytime job stuff mostly. Working on videos. Made a trip out to Flex Radio last week, who's about 3 hours south of me. So that's kind of cool. I think you want to talk about that later, and that's fine. But
okay.
Just been doing ham radio stuff on the side.
Well, cool. I talked to a bunch of Texas stations down there tonight. Boy, they're all strong from Texas. You guys must have just big amplifiers and big antennas down there. Do all you guys live on a hill or something?
No, actually, no. Actually, most of the stations in Texas that I've heard are from South Texas, and they're closer to sea level down there. But no, I've heard some. When I was out at Last Man Standing a couple months ago, I talked to a couple stations down in Corpus Christi, Texas. So they had pretty good signals coming up to California. So I don't know. There's a lot of big antennas out there, I guess.
Yeah, boy, some big signals coming from down here. Well, Josh will get his problem here fixed here in a minute. So, hey, Jason, are you going to be up at? You'll be back up at Dayton with us, won't you?
Oh yeah, I'll be in Dayton.
And Josh will be there. Let's all get together there.
I will. We are going to meet up for sure. Let me hop under the desk really quick. Let me mute myself.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just seeing your avatar right now anyway, so that's cool. Yeah, I will be. I actually talked to the Bridgecom, Ron, and those guys up at Kansas City. They're Bridgecom Systems. I've shared a table with them at Dayton the last 2 years, and going to do it again this year. And we were talking about booth configuration, and I'm going to try to run a live stream on Saturday from the booth there, just like for an hour. I'm not going to do an all weekend thing. Most of the weekend I'll be walking around talking to people. But I'm going to try to do a live stream if everything falls into place. I'm going to try to do a live stream there and get Josh and also Eric from Ham Radio Concepts is supposed to come by. So that ought to be really fun. Tell them that, I mean, I don't know what your schedule is, but if you're available on Saturday, you're welcome to come by and join us as well. I mean,
I don't even have a schedule when I go up there, man. Okay. We work for 10 hours a day for 5 days, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, go ahead and tell us more. I've got to walk into the other room. I left my notes for the show. They're in the other room, so I'm walking down the hall right now to get them.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So Flex Radio is in Austin, Texas, which is about 3 hours south of me. Matt Youngblood and Lori down there. Invited me to I traded some emails with him a few months back. I was going to go down there in January and just couldn't get it to work out schedule-wise. And so finally we worked it all out last week, and I drove down there and spent the day down there with them. And they showed me their facility. They do all the manufacturing right there. They have the boards. The boards they actually made like the actual base of the board is made somewhere. And then there's a manufacturing plant that puts everything together right there in their same location. And so they showed me how they put everything together and how it comes together and the different configurations of the insides of their Maestro series radios and their older style radios, the 6700, and showed me all the configurations of the Windows client, and that they have a Windows client and a Mac client, and it runs on iPad or runs on iPad. I'm not sure about iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to work on an Android client, so they've definitely got a cross-platform thing going on there, which is really fun.
So they actually build these units there, or they have them built somewhere else?
Correct. No, they build them right there.
Yeah, I bet that's interesting.
They're kind of all in the same complex, right? So there's this big complex, this like warehouse district, and there's all these office buildings there, and their office is up front, and then the manufacturers has another office building, which is a third-party contractor that they work with, which is back in the back. So it's you walk in the door. She took me through a tour. Lori took me through a tour there. You walk in the door, and you have to put on a anti-static coat and
nice.
And walk through there and everything. So they have like surface mounts stations where they do surface mount on the board, and then it goes through like 3 or 4 layers of testing once all the boards are put together, and then testing per board, and then you put the boards together in a radio. You do more testing, then you do a burn-in, then you do more testing. So it's definitely a top-notch process they have going there. So all made in the USA, all made in Texas, which is really cool to me. So
cool. Hey Josh.
Yes.
Scoot over to your right just a little bit. Give me a little room to get in here. Scoot over to your right a little. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
And now I'm in here. Okay. I just needed a little room to get in there, man. Yeah.
It looks like you're sitting right between us. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna let's see.
Have to get once I get all once I get all my wire. I'm reconfiguring my desk in here. Once I get all that done, I'll be running my Wirecast in here, so I'll be able to.
Yeah. Now wait a minute. That's not fair.
Is it this way? No, it's not this way. It's this way.
Well, I don't know what it is, man.
Wow, we're
all right. Well, we had a little fun tonight. You know, hey, when Katie's gone and the other guys, we just have a lot of fun here. There we go. There goes Josh again.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this video thing.
There he goes again. I know
what I can do.
He probably bought something. He probably bought some attachment to put on his camera to make it do that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, like the Roger beep or some of these other things.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Let's turn off green screen. There you
Let's
go.
just pick up my other 3 cameras that I have sitting here.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I got my notes here, but hey, man, it's really interesting to talk about flex here. I started to get me a flex one time, and I just didn't follow through with it. Actually, I found one, a used one. I would have bought it if it hadn't got sold, but my wife is always telling me to buy something. Buy a flex, buy
tell
this.
my wife to learn what she learned from your
No
wife.
doubt.
So
Yeah.
she said go buy it. So I said okay, I'll call the guy, but it was sold. So anyway, I don't need it. Plus, man, I just don't want to buy. I don't want another computer right now.
Yeah.
That is a line that no one has ever heard said before. Believe it or not.
Right.
I don't want another computer. I don't think anybody's ever uttered those words.
No. Who would have thought? I think Tom said a few weeks ago when we were on the show. He said, "I don't want to buy another radio. Can I use a hotspot? Can I use a hotspot to talk into DMR, and just talking through my computer?" And I'm like, "You don't want another radio?"
Well, yeah, and I didn't want to use the dongle because again, it's a computer. But they're going to send me one. But hey, I've been playing with this. This is that.
Oh yeah.
This is the DVMega that does Dstar fusion and DMR, and so this is not a computer, and it's a self-contained IP radio. They're making a lot of changes. I had a lot of issues with it in the way it operated, and I complained so much that they're making a bunch of software changes this week to add some features to this thing, like to be able to disconnect from a mode. The way this thing came was if somebody's flapping their jaws on fusion for like 3 hours, you couldn't change to DMR because you had to wait for them to get off.
Welcome to Hotspot 101.
Yeah, same like a hotspot. So I said,
Group 310 effect.
Yeah, I said, they said, well, that's the way kind of things work. And I said, well, that's the way I don't want it to work. So they're going to go in now. They're working on this week a disconnect button where you can disconnect off of the node.
Yep.
Yeah.
And let's see, they're going to do some other things. There's several things that they're going to change on this, make it more Tom-like, where I like it a little bit better.
In the chat, somebody asked, when will the changes be implemented so they can buy one?
For the DVMega?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can buy one of these now. The changes are just a software, a firmware upgrade, and you can download that anytime a new software comes out. So, I mean, it's working now. You just have to, deal with some of the things that I didn't like dealing with. Of course, like Josh mentioned, that's kind of normal for a hotspot or something to lock onto a channel or a node, whatever you call it, and kind of stay there. You can't get out of it. But
yeah, kind of DMR in general.
Yeah, but see, me not being a digital guy, I didn't know that, so I complained, and they're going to fix it. So anyway, you can buy these now.
Somebody said you're a little loud in comparison.
Yeah, I am.
Let me adjust. Okay.
I'm getting excited here, and I'm yelling, so I'll talk a little lower. But yeah, hey, you can order this now, and hey, I haven't found that the mic does me much good yet. You really can do everything from the touch screen here. You don't have to have a mic with the buttons on it. I'd recommend not spending an extra $60 for the Yaesu mic. If you've got a mic, just wire it up, just like the Yaesu mic wires up, and plug it in right here, and it'll work. Yeah. We had the Flex guys on the show here a year or so ago, and he showed us a lot of the new things coming out. I think the Maestro that you were talking about was coming out back then, and we've got a friend. He may be in the chat room. Jeff N3VE. He's a big Flex man, and he always brings his Maestro to Dayton with us. And nice. we play with it some there at the hotel.
Good. So I kind of, if I play my cards right, I may try to get one before Dayton, before May. Someone in the chat earlier said it's Hamvention, it's not Dayton anymore.
Well, no,
that-
actually,
tell that
it
to go
is
buy your
still,
plane
it is still, it's the Dayton Hamvention. It's still trademarked.
Yeah.
It's trademarked, and that is the name of it. Wherever it is the Dayton Hamvention. But they're right, it's in Xenia, Ohio. You know,
Yep.
go figure.
It's
Go figure. And we're going to
like
have we'll have the Hamvention guys on here probably pretty soon. Michael Coulter. Michael Coulter and Jack Grubbs, I think, he's the new chairman this year. They'll be on here with us probably a couple times between now and Hamvention. And you know, while we're on Hamvention, let me just mention, guys, that we're going to do again the Hamvention Marathon. It'll be 50 hours of straight streaming from the time we leave. By the time we leave the door here, we'll be streaming live the drive. That's 10 hours. We'll be streaming all day setup day because a lot of people come by on setup day. And Bob Hiles moved in next to us now with Hiles Sound, and Bob's a good friend of ours. We'll have Bob on the camera. He'll probably come by, and a lot of people will come by on Thursday, so that's an extra day. And then the show is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll give away about $10,000 in prizes to our viewers out there. Everything from auto antenna tuners to mobile rigs, handy talkies, antenna analyzers. I don't know if I said that or not, but just all HF antennas. We'll be giving everything away. We're getting Hambot all oiled up. Hambot is getting ready for it. We've recently changed our chat room to Freenode. We were starting to have some troubles over on the other chat room, and we weren't real happy with the way it was coming along. I know in Dayton in previous years we've had upwards of 1,000 people in our chat room, maybe even more than that.
nice.
And during the show, and the last couple of years with the last chat room we had, it was less than half of that. So we'll see if this makes a difference in the chat room. But hey, one of the things I want to mention to you, and you'll start seeing this coming up in a couple weeks. Let me walk over here and get it. So the trip cost us, and it may cost you guys a lot of money too, but this trip, for us to webcast this trip and put it on and to take the help we need and to pay for the hotels and so forth, this trip costs us more than $3,000 to put this webcast on. So what we have done in the past, which has really helped us cover expenses, is we have set aside one prize for our viewers out there, and we're going to do it again this year. This is a CAA 500. It's a great antenna analyzer by Comet, and it's about, I don't know, $400 or more, I think, retail. But anyway, we're going to set that aside, and for the people that want to help us pay our expenses, for every $10 you donate, we're going to put your name in a hat for one chance against this right here. So, $20 gets you what? 2 tickets. 30 gets you 3 tickets. $1,000 to get you. What's that get you? Let's see. I guess that gets you 100 tickets, right? Tell you what, you put $1,000 in, and we'll throw an extra 2 tickets in. Okay?
Right.
But you're going to start seeing this. So there may be a little pop-up that comes up on our video page during Hamvention, just to remind you guys that we do need your help because we've got a lot of expense there. We don't stay in the cheapest hotel, and we don't stay in the most expensive hotel, but our hotel bill alone, see, we're there for 5 days. 5 days, and I not only pay for my room, but I pay for my helpers, my staff, plus I pay for all their meals. And the hotel bill alone can easily run a couple $1,000. So, yeah. 1 year, three years ago, our internet connection cost us $700 for 3 days.
I was going to ask you that. Could you go into a little bit about what you use for the internet? Because I'm assuming you have like a hotspot when you're traveling. What do you use?
Yeah, when we travel, well, we've used a lot of things over the years, but as technology has evolved, the hotspots even a hotspot on your phone are working pretty good now. The little jet packs like Verizon Jetpack. And we use that, and we can get really good data rates. I mean, we started streaming 17 years ago, these trips. If we could get something like 70 kilobits, we were doing good. And now we stream in the megabits, you know. So
Right.
So we'll be streaming the show all the way up here. Now we'll be using Hamvention's internet connectivity this year. We used them last year. The year before we used AT&T and had them put a circuit in. That's when it was $700. But the hotspot, you know, would work up there, and but we like a wired connection, and so we have a lot of fun when we drive up there. We stream the show live. We'll have a lot going on in a truck as we go up there. We're going to not only be streaming the trip live, we're going to be on Dstar and DMR on the way up there. We're going to have the new MFJ Rig Pi, and we're going to be on HF all bands on the way up here. So we got all these things going on, plus we have to have a driver. So, you know, we're going to have a lot of fun going up there. Hopefully we'll have people all over the country following us on DMR and Dstar and on HF and the webcast, and it should be a
Where are
big...
you going to be on DMR?
Well, I don't know. I'm so new to DMR. I don't want to get somewhere where somebody didn't want us on there. You know, I mean, I'm sure there are places that, you know, you can get on and use more, and places that maybe you shouldn't use. So, I'm going to look for you guys' help in helping us figure out, you know, where would be a good place. You know.
Jason, have you been before?
Where?
To Hamvention.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been the last 4 or 5 years.
So then, what's the scene like? And Tom, you dive in too. But what's the scene like for when you're operating simplex, like particularly on digital? Are people out there doing that?
Oh yeah, yeah. You will hear DMR simplex quite a bit at Dayton and at Orlando too. Actually, I suggest making sure your contact database and your code plug is updated, and you'll be amazed how many different DX call signs you'll see come across the screen as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people on DMR simplex at Dayton.
Well, and you know, the DMR may have helped things. I can tell you, we've been going up here now for 35 years, consecutive years, and we've tried everything when we were out in the flea market to stay in contact with each other. But you figure this out and think about this, Josh. You have 20,000 hams outside, and every one of them have a 2-meter handy-talkie.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
And that's the way it was. That's the way it was for many years. I mean, you probably couldn't talk hardly, 100 feet out there because there was so much going on. And we tried, what the other little family radios and stuff like that, to get off the ham bands, and that didn't work very well either. So, and even telephones quit working out there. When you get 20,000 people out there, and every one of them are pinging that single phone tower out there, then they pretty much stop working. Now, the cell companies have done good the last few years to try to bring in additional towers, and they'll set them up, on little trailers and stuff. But there's been years where it's hard to believe there's been years where there's been almost no communications at all out there.
Well, so the reason I brought up the digital simplex is obviously, as you mentioned, 20,000 hams on one location with, handy talkies. Does the digital help that out a bit with less of the splash over and the selectivity or whatnot?
I don't have much to compare that to, because ever since I've been going to Dayton, I've always used DMR simplex. There was never a time when I went in the past that I was using analog simplex. But having said that, I would think so, because it's really easy on DMR to everybody uses time slot 1, talk group 99, color code 1. That's the standard. If a group of people wanted to go out there and talk on those same simplex frequencies, but be kind of segregated. You could you could use 2 meters. There's probably not many people out there, but you can always change color codes or just use time slot 2 instead of time slot 1. So you can, there's 15 color codes in DMR, and you can go out there and set up a talk group on the same frequency in 15 different color codes and essentially have 15 channels. So
right.
But yeah, it's I would think that it would probably help to kind of provide more room for people out there. I just don't know. There's probably a lot of guys out there that are just all HF guys and don't even know what DMR is. But yeah, it's quite popular in the simplex realm out. And even when I was there the very last year that they had the Hamvention at the Hera Arena, and it was booming that year as well.
Well, hey, let me just say this again about this box here. I'm not a DMR guy or a Fusion guy or anything like that. I know nothing about it, but I want to tell you, I think this makes it easy for people. This is an IP radio. You don't have to have a hotspot, Zoom spot, whatever you call all those things. And it seems so complicated to me. And even though this was complicated for me at first, it's actually turning out to be pretty simple once you learn how to operate it. And they're going to make some nice changes to it. And I know that they're going to always be making improvements to it. But I think there's going to be some good improvements coming out. But if you guys want this now, this thing is available now. Gigaparts is selling it right now. And you can get it, at any of the Gigaparts stores. And I've been using it. It's working great for me. I'm getting very satisfied with it. And, a lot of things that bothered me about it are just inherent to DMR and Dstar and the way the networks operate, which, I just was not familiar with. So we're looking forward to taking this with us and using it and having fun with it. And, don't wait for a new software change. Go ahead and order it now. And to download the firmware and upgrade it, it only takes you about 2 or 3 minutes. It's all done online.
Tom, let me ask you a question about that. Can you run that as like a remote node?
You can.
You put that in node mode and then talk with the handy-talkie into it?
Yeah. Now let me tell you, I know little about it. I know almost nothing, but you can also, they make the dongle, the DVMega dongle that you can plug, put in your laptop or something. Yeah. But there's a place in here you can plug that DVMega dongle in here, and it makes it like into a hotspot or something, where something works. Now again, I don't know all this. We may have somebody in the chat room here. I saw Scott in here a while ago. Maybe he can tell us. But I think, and what I was told is, you can even operate with that plugged in. You can even operate this using your telephone, your smartphone. You can go in and do it. So, it's got a lot of features in it. It'll do a lot of things, and it gets real complex, especially for somebody like me.
Does that have a connection for a remote antenna? Like if you want to connect an antenna to?
No, there's no.
There's no RF.
There's no RF.
I see.
It's IP
RF.
only. It's
just a Raspberry Pi running.
That's right.
Pi-Star.
It runs Pi-Star. Pi-Star. So now I've got it plugged in to Ethernet, but it does have a Wi-Fi dongle here, and you can actually, this Wi-Fi dongle here actually, this one came as it actually creates its own access point where if you take your phone,
literally the Raspberry Pi plugged into the back.
You take your phone, and you can see this thing, and then you can just go to Pi-Star and you're logged into it on your phone. And you can turn, DMR on or off, or Dstar, or make changes, or things like that. So it's pretty neat. And we bought it especially to go to Dayton with us. And it's
cool.
we hope to have a lot of fun with it, on the trip.
The reason I was asking all that about the external antenna is Jason will probably know what I'm talking about too. With like Yaesu System Fusion, if you're running like an FTM 100 into an HRI 200, you're gaining the 50 meter capable mobile radio with whatever antenna you connect to it. So you can get away from it for a pretty good distance and still make it onto wires. And I think that's kind of, Jason, do you know if there's anything to do that kind of functionality on DMR yet? Other than running a big, radio connected to the, Raspberry Pi or something that you home build.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not aware of a radio that will act as like a node. I am told, Josh, I was going to ask you about this. I am told that you had brought up on this show a few weeks ago about new firmware for the FT2 HT.
Yes.
I'm told there's new firmware for both the FTM 100 and 400 mobile radios that'll do that same thing. It eliminates the need for your HRI 200 anymore.
Yeah, so I did that with the FT2DR. I did a live stream on it, and I did a range test. I got about 5 miles from the house with my FTM 400 talking to my FT2DR connected to a laptop connected to a 17-foot ground plane outside. About 5 miles was the max. However, that's a 5-watt radio.
Right.
If you threw an FTM 100 onto that with the 50 watts, you would get way further. I'm told 20 mile plus in some cases.
Yeah. Well, I just was. This is my HRI 200 box here, and I've had that node running. I don't have it running right now, but I've had it running in the past. But my point is that the new firmware on the FTM 100, which is the radio I've got over there, eliminates the need for that box anymore. So you could even run it. You could even run it as a mobile node.
Yes.
Like you could drive to Dayton and set your simplex node up in the truck with your external antenna on the truck and use it that way as well.
That's a really good idea. So the one thing that the new drivers can't do is they can't. You can't create a room if you're not connected to an HRI 200. I found out.
Okay.
So if you're running in that HRI mode on the FTM 100 or the FT2DR or the FTM 400, then it will not. You cannot use the laptop to create a room. You have to use it in their kind of connection to a room only.
Can you connect to different rooms?
You can, but you know how like when you have the HRI 200 and you're using the software, you can create your own ham radio 2.0.
It basically creates its own room that's your node number, right?
So you still have that, but like your chat room or whatever you would create, you can't create anything if you're running in those driver settings. You have to have an HRI 200. That's the kind of distinction level. I was asking, I can't remember his name now. He's the guy on the Yaesu guy who runs the group on Facebook. Anyway, I was talking to him and I said, so you get all the functionality of being a quote unquote user of the mode, but if you wanted to be like an admin of your own group, you couldn't do that without the HRI 200.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Or am I saying is an HRI 100 or 200?
It's 200.
Okay. Somebody said in the chat 100. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, he mistyped it. It's an HRI 200. But, I've never, for my personal use, I would want to connect back to one of the WiresX rooms here in Texas anyway, so I don't really care about that. But that is good to know. It's good to know that there's functionality that a difference there. So
yeah. And there's the name John Crook. He runs the Yaesu System Fusion group on Facebook.
Okay.
Now remember, there's two modes for the people in the chat. There's HRI mode and then there's PDN direct mode. Those are two separate things.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm learning. There's a lot to learn about this thing. Let me show you something here real quick for your information. You can see the screen right there.
Okay, there you go. I like the overhead.
You see the screen here? So, like, you hit the mode. Now I'm in DMR.
I was laughing right now. I was like, your call, CQ. Oh, you must be running DMR. And then I look up, and there it is.
And look, like right now, I mean, there's talk group 31621. Who is that? Is that you? Who is that?
31621. That's the Ham Radio Crash Course talk group.
I checked into it. Hey, I checked into it.
Talk group out, by the way.
I checked into it last week.
You did, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
So look, just to change the talk groups, I mean, you don't have to program your handy talk in to change your talk groups. You just touch it, and you.
Oh wow!
That's you just key in, like if you wanted talk group 312, you hit 3112, and hit OK. Now I'm on talk group 312.
Don't do 310, or else you won't be able to change it ever again.
Change it real quick. Yeah.
You'll never be able to change it out of that ever again.
Yeah. Is 312 a busy one?
No, 310. Don't do 310.
Oh, 310 is a busy one. Yeah. And so, yeah, there it is. If I want to go to Dstar, just click it and go to Dstar. And to change, it's a little manual. to change to a different reflector, you have to click here, and then you put your reflector in, and then you key the mic, and that connects you, that links you to the reflector 30, and then you come back and you'll put the CQ there and click it, and then you're on 30. So it's kind of 2 steps to get to Dstar to change the reflector out. But all this thing's got, it's got a volume control in front, and I don't think I can. Right now I'm locked in Dstar. I'm not sure why. Maybe someone's talking.
Yeah, probably what's going on.
Yeah, somebody's talking. Well, they're going to fix that with an upgrade. Now I can hit the mode and I can go to DMR or Fusion or whatever.
NM5I. This is KR7V.
Okay, let me turn it off. So anyway, just wanted to see how easy it was to operate, and this it may be fun. It's going to give me the DMR capability that I was always wanting to do. Hey guys, let's take a quick break just for a second, and we'll be right back. Here, 1 second. Let me turn this guy down.
Got all excited. The iStar software.
We'll be right back.
There in a little device.
Create your own band openings. Icom newest SDR transceiver, the IC9700, is coming soon. This new radio is bringing direct sampling to the UHF, VHF weak signal world. The IC9700 is an all-mode transceiver loaded with innovative features such as dedicated amateur satellite operation, color touchscreen, Dstar capability built in, RF direct sampling on 2 meters and 70 centimeter bands. It has a dual independent receiver capable of full duplex operation as well as dual watch, and 100 watts max output on 2 meters, 75 watts on 70 centimeters, and 10 watts on 1.2 gigahertz. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios. All right, we should be back now. Hey guys, hey, let's talk about something real quick. I want to jump into let me turn my mic gain down a little bit. There we go. My audio person's not working tonight. QST magazine this month, April issue, came out with an article about a 3/8 wavelength vertical. And I'm a wire antenna guy, and I'm experimenting with all kind of wire antennas, from extended double zeps to quads to loops, delta loops, everything. And I wanted a vertical. And by having it switch selectable in a shack, it's neat to be able to try different, polarizations of antennas and distances and stuff. It's kind of fun. So I've been wanting to put a vertical out there. I've got a lot of trees, and I've got a buried radios under my antenna farm out there. And I had put up a quarter wave 40 meter antenna, just a piece of wire, quarter wave. But I was having real problems getting that thing to resonate, and it was picking up just weird stuff everywhere. And so I was interested when I saw in the QST magazine this month. This is an article in there about the 3/8 wavelength vertical. Now, a quarter wave, that's 2/8. So this is 3/8. This is an 1/8 wave longer. And it's a pretty neat concept there. And if you think about the antennas, if you look at a quarter wave antenna, a quarter wave vertical, it's got a takeoff angle of about 29 degrees. So if you look at that, you can see it's going to hit the ionosphere up there, or the F layer, or whatever it hits, and it's going to bounce down, but it's going to go at a much higher angle. And so you can see the distance there, that it comes down a little bit closer. Now the 3/8 wave, which I've built here and I'm going to show you, it has a takeoff angle of about 23 degrees. So you can see with a lower angle, it goes out further before it reflects back down. So it's quite a bit better, I think, for DX. Now, I played with that antenna tonight. I compared it to my double ZEP 40 meter antenna and this 3/8 vertical antenna during the 40 meter net tonight. And man, I was getting great results out of this. People in Texas and around were telling me my signal was like 20 and 30 over S9. And it was very close comparing it to the double ZEP antenna. So if you look at the antenna here, that's basically what you got. The impedance of a 3/8 wave antenna is going to be about 200 ohms. But you're going to have some reactance in there you're going to have to take out. So you got 300 to 700 ohms of reactance in there. So what they're showing in the book here is building a really simple matching network. They're using one of the just a ferrite core. I think it's a T240 or something like that. Let's see.
The keyboard's a little loud.
Do you know? It's a T. I think a T240 or T250 anyway. And there's about 7 turns. There's about 7 turns bifilar wire around it. And then to take out that reactance, that 300 to 700 ohm reactance, they use a series capacitor. Well, I put a variable capacitor there so I could actually tune it and watch it just hit that null spot. So I did that. Now, just kind of breadboarded it. There's the toroid there with the bifilar winding around it. They said 7 turns. I must have still been on my codeine because I put 8 turns on there. But you know, hey, 8 turns worked perfect, just like the 7 turns should have. And there's the variable capacitor I put on there. I got a couple little short videos here, 2 or 3 minutes. I want to show you kind of the next step of taking it outside. So please disregard the phone number. Somehow it got on one of my tapes while I was taking my codeine. But all right, there we go. Okay, you can see the 4-to-1 balun that I
I like the little resistor job there.
just made. I took a T240 61 material. You guys are not going to hear. Bought it on the internet for about $13.
Yeah.
I wrapped it in tape. I don't know if that's necessary. I've seen a lot of articles where they do wrap it. It is a iron core or a ferrous type core.
Is it a mechanical?
If you put an ohm meter on it, it doesn't show any conductivity, but I wrapped it anyway with tape in case there's a nick or something on one of the wires. So this is a 4-to-1. I've got 2 100 ohm resistors here in series. It gives me 200 ohms. So this little device here should be converting my 200 ohms to 50 ohms. And let's look at the meter and look and see how it is. And you can see, yeah, you can see that it's doing a real good job. We're right at 50 ohms. We're right at 50 ohms, and that's down as low as 80 meters. I'm going to tune down a little lower. It looks pretty flat down around, you know, it's just starting to come up about, let's see, let me go down to like 160 meters. It's still a pretty good match on 160 meters, but I'm not going to be using it there. So let me go back down to like 80 meters. Looks pretty good. It's showing the 50 ohms there, which is pretty good. My plan is to use this on 40 meters on a 3/8 vertical wavelength wire, and it's about a 400 ohm impedance. So we're going to match 400 ohms down to 50. So let's go up to 40 meters and see how it looks up there. So all right, going on up. Well, we got it going up here. Here we go. All right, so we're still looking good at 50 ohms, and I'm gonna tune it on up. We're in a 40 meter band now. You can see as I tune it, the 50 ohm impedance is it's not changing at all. There's 7.6, there's 6, you know, so the impedance is not changing at all. So it's doing a great job there. I'm gonna just keep going higher here. There's 9 megahertz. It hadn't changed. 10, 13, and you can see it's still pretty consistent as I sweep through ranges up to through 20 meters. So overall, I think it's done a good job for me. I'll put this in a little electrical box, mount the coax connector on it, and actually the antenna, the whip, the 3/8 wavelength whip will connect right here to the yellow wire. and this is the impedance of the antenna, about 400 ohms. So I've got a 100 ohm and a 100 ohm. Did I say 400? I meant 200 ohm. So I've got a 100 ohm and a 100 ohm just tacked here together, just to give me a basic 200 ohm impedance, and it's looking good. So I'm real proud of it. Okay, the sun is pretty bright out here, but we're going to see what's going on here. There's a little matching unit. Over here we've just got a piece of PVC pipe in the ground. It kind of is our base support. And this wire is just a piece of military field strength wire. That's what we use for our antenna. Of course, there's our matching device. And you can see we got a pretty good match right there. Let's tune the capacitor a little bit and see if we can get a little bit better match here. Well, it's showing about a 1.1 SWR, 45 ohms resistance with 3 ohms of reactance. Let's see if we can improve that by maybe adding a capacitor across this capacitor, because that capacitor there is maxed out right now. Okay, well, as you can see, I got some doorknob capacitors there, very high voltage. I just added one across the variable capacitor there, and if you look at the matching now, we've got a 1.1 55 impedance with a 0 reactance, so I think that's pretty good, actually. I've been playing with a bunch of different microphones here. Okay, so you can kind of see what I worked on here. Get the echo off. So that's kind of what we did it was pretty simple to string it up and put it up in the air. And the balun and the capacitor just tuned out the reactance, and it did just a great job matching there. I'll put that thing in another box, in a weatherproof box later. But I want to show you, here's what I use for the wire. I use this a lot. This is just military field wire. I called it field strength wire in a video. Boy, my coding's kicking in again. But this is field wire, not field strength wire. This is some very, very strong wire. It's military surplus. You can buy a 1,000-foot roll for almost nothing, and it's very strong. If you look at this, each half of the cable there, it has each one of them has 3 strands of steel in there. So this is steel and copper, and you can just about pull a car with this cable. I mean, that's how strong it is. And I use that a lot for my delta loops and other things like that. And here's a piece of it. This is what the field wire looks like. It's got a nice some type vinyl type jacket. Weathers the weather very well. And usually I just use the double piece, and I just twist the ends together to make it all one conductor. But hey, if you wanted to, look what you can do. You can take this, and it comes apart very easily. Well, I'll say very easily. Here we go. Well, maybe it didn't come up. There we go. So it comes apart really easily. You can just pull it apart like this, and look, now you got double the length. So if you buy a 1,000-foot spool of this, you got 2,000 foot now with this wire. And I'll tell you, this is black. You put this up in the air with the trees, nobody will see it, and especially if you use a single piece like this. This thing almost becomes invisible. Look at that. It almost becomes invisible. So this is, I really like this wire right here. So anyway, the antenna's worked out very well. We're going to continue playing with it, put it in another box, and and work on it. So I thought that's kind of neat. I've been wanting a vertical out there, and they came out with the 3/8 in this issue of QST. So what do you guys think out there down in Texas and California? Let me turn your phone up.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he turned us down.
What do you think, man? You need a vertical?
Yeah, so I got two questions. One came from the chat. Do they also call that wire D10 wire?
What was that?
D10, Delta 10.
Yeah,
wire.
I think it's called WD10, maybe something like that. If you just do a search, for military field wire, it'll usually show up.
So then, two questions related to your 3/8 antenna. One, how do you have it held aloft? You going into a tree, and then how long is the vertical element that you're using?
Yeah, well, it's a 3/8 wavelength, so 3/8 wavelength on 40 meters is about 47 feet.
That's pretty.
About 47 feet.
No
So
doubt.
what I did, I just shot me a little nylon line over a tree limb at about 60 feet, and dropped it down, tied it to the wire, and pulled it up. And in addition to adjusting the capacitor, I also adjusted the length of the radiating element just a little bit. That helped us tune it a little better. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take out that variable capacitor, even though it's got spacing where it can handle maybe a kilowatt. I'm going to take it out because once I get it set on that antenna, I don't need it. So these are called doorknob capacitors. I don't know. They're pretty old, but they're doorknobs. I have a bunch of these. These are probably rated at 20,000 volts at least. These are 50 picofarads, and this came out of an old TV. When I was growing up, young and a teenager, my uncle had the TV repair shop, and we had hundreds of junk TVs that I just cut parts out, any part I wanted, and of course these came out. I've got parts in my closet here. I look like the electronic distributing store, and I've got boxes of parts and resistors that I cut out of TVs over 50 years ago, and guess what? These are great. If you try to buy a doorknob capacitor like this on eBay now, you may spend $20 for it. I don't know, maybe even more. Now you don't have to put this in there. You can put disc ceramics in there. A couple bucks each. If you do that, you need to get them rated at a couple thousand volts each. And in the article, they show fixed capacitors in there, and they show paralleling a couple disc capacitors. So I'll use the toroid that I wound, and it'll go just to this, and then this will go straight to the antenna and go up. Again, 47 feet, I think, is about the length, and it has to be 3/8 because a 3/8 antenna at its resonant frequency is going to give you 200 ohm impedance. So that's why a 4-to-1 balun will match it. So if I made that antenna longer, if I stretched the thing out to 50 feet or 60 feet, on 40 meters, it wouldn't be 200 ohms. It would probably be 800 ohms, 1,000 ohms. I mean, it's going to change. So at the resonant frequency, on a 3/8 at a resonant frequency, you're going to get 200 ohms. So if you wanted to make this for 20 meters, you cut your vertical wire for 3/8 length for 20 meters. I think that's about 17 feet. I went ahead with the 47 feet and made it 40 meters because that's the band I wanted to operate on. And I could actually do this. I could put me a little relay out there, and I could, off the same balun that I wired there, I could have a relay that connects to a 47-foot piece of wire. And when it's flipped, I could have it connected to a 17-foot piece of wire. And of course, I would have to use a different capacitor to take out the reactance, but that's not a big deal. You could put a variable capacitor in there, and you could find the capacitance. But the matching toroid is going to be the same. It's a 4-to-1, whether you're on 20 meters, 40 meters, 80 meters, or whatever.
Yeah, you can do a lot of that with the Raspberry Pi. You're like right there.
Yeah.
Raspberry Pi Town. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool project. That'd be really fun.
It was a really easy to make. I didn't have any special. You know, a lot of times when we wire these toroids, they use a special some type vinyl covered wire that's more higher voltage, and I thought, okay, I've got regular electrical wire out there with the rubber plastic insulation. But then I said, hey, I've got some wire. If you've ever replaced a ballast in a fluorescent light fixture, if you ever look at that wire that's all bound, twisted up in there that goes to the ballast, that is some really high voltage wire. And, it's yellow and black and maybe a red and, So I had some of that wire around, and I just made the bifiller, just twisted it together, and then wrapped me 8 turns around the toroid, and that was it, man. The balun was made. And the interesting thing was, the antenna analyzer showed that balun was good from 3.5 up to 10 meters. I mean, it did the conversion from 200 ohms to 50 ohms, just flat across the board. So that was interesting there.
So I heard you out in California from where you're at.
Yeah.
I think, and I bet that it's going to perform even better as the conditions improve. 40 was kind of rough last night and today
Yeah.
for most of the time. So it's probably only going to get better. So it sounded great. What's your I mean, it depends on where you live, but what kind of noise floor are you getting off of that? Because obviously vertically polarized, you're going to get a little bit more noise, right?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more noise, not that much actually here. Of course, we're in the big city of Collierville, Tennessee. I mean, I'm in a neighborhood where, people do live around me, so there is going to be some noise. But, I'm running, I was looking at it today, and I might be, in different days, of course, it's different. Of course, atmospheric conditions and things affect it. But I was seeing a noise level of about a S5 here. But tonight, man, signals were popping in, 10 over 9, and I mean, when you go from a S5 noise to 10 over, I mean, it just gets completely quieting. So not bad at all.
Yeah.
So how's your hex beam working there? You didn't you put a hex beam up, Josh?
I did. So we talked to Emmett on radio waves. It was months ago when I last talked to him on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been on since then. And he said in the chat that depending on the soil makeup of where you live will affect your SWR. And I've had a couple issues with the hex beam. The 40 meter portion being the most problematic, which I guess if you think about it makes sense because hex beams 40 meters don't really go together that much. They end up being more like a cobweb or something like that. But
yeah.
The unit they make, that top 40 meters is a 2-element beam. So we're working on it, but I mean the standard hex beam's awesome. They do really good work. It's really quality. It's nicely made, and their support's really, really great. Because I've talked to multiple people there. Emmett's actually messaged me multiple times to work out the details. But I think California and maybe other parts of the country just have a different makeup as far as ground material, and that's going to affect how those cuts of wire are going to work as far as when you measure SWR, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and 40 meters is kind of a tough thing when you try to put all that wire in a small space too. You got all that, I guess it's called linear loading or whatever, where it just goes back and forth, man.
Your dip is going to be a lot smaller, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be dealing with more Q, and that's just the reality of it, and I appreciate that. So I understand it's a tough thing to do, but regardless, the antenna's been up since September. I did paint the arms as recommended, a nice gray color, and it functions wonderfully. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get the point to where I can get the SWR low enough that I can put an amp on it. That's kind of where I want to go with it. And I don't want to run a tuner, obviously. If you've got a hex beam, you kind of want to be able to just, put the amp on there, and then it'll work however you want it to run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a neat project I'm gonna be working on here soon for the show, and this is in one of the military manuals, using a tree for an antenna. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, where you run the spike in the bottom
Yeah,
of the
we're gonna
antenna.
drive.
Yep.
We're gonna drive a nail. We're gonna drive a nail into the trunk of a tree, and we're gonna load that tree up, and we're gonna make some contacts using the
Nice.
tree. I want to wait till the spring gets here and the sap starts, getting a little better in the tree. But we're gonna do that, and I think it's gonna be done. It'd be interesting to see if we can make a contact using a tree for an antenna. I saw on your site today, Josh, people were asking about, can I lay a wire in a gutter? Can I do this? Can I do that?
Yeah, and thank you for commenting on that one. That was great. You got to it before I could get there. It was
So I
great.
mean, there's all kinds of ways to get around these antennas, even in these HOA areas. And well, I tell you, one of the things people just don't realize how well it works. You take a little auto tuner, a little 100-watt auto tuner, whether it be SGC or LD, what is it? LD, whoever makes it, and MFJ, and where you put that antenna tuner out at the antenna, and what you do, you send a little couple, you key the mic, you send a couple watts of RF out to the antenna tuner, and it actually tunes that piece of wire out there. The nice thing people don't realize is that is an all-band antenna. People buy an 80-meter antenna, and they buy a 40-meter antenna, and they buy this antenna, and they buy that. Man, you could put one piece of wire up out there with an auto tuner and have every band. Plus, it will tune the SWR down, whether you're in a CW band or the voice band. It'll tune it the same, and it is just great. But the point I was wanting to make there is, people use those tuners for everything. I've used it to tune inverted L's, vertical antennas. You can put it. You can hook it to your gutter, and nobody at a homeowner association will even know this. You could fire up the gutters, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, at 100 watts, you're not going to burn your house down. I would not recommend putting a kilowatt tuner on there and running a high power,
No,
but
probably not.
But
I wanna clarify something you said.
one of the stories I like to tell is
Huh?
is I made a contact one time for my other home. I had this 80 El Camino,
There
and
you
it was
go.
sitting in the backyard, and I took this auto tuner out there and I clipped it to the bumper of the 80 El Camino, and I talked to a guy from Tennessee up to the state of Washington, and he said, "Your mobile is doing a good job." And I said, No, you don't understand. I'm not running a mobile. I'm running the mobile as the antenna. I was loading up the car frame,
Yeah.
for the antenna. And it's so easy, man. I mean, it's so easy to use something like that. And I'm a proponent for putting the antenna tuner out at the antenna, not in the shack. I don't like tuning an antenna through the coax. That's just, to me, that's kind of wrong. But
Well, you said it.
yeah.
That was you already kind of hit it, but you hit it on that last part.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're talking about a tuner out at the antenna feed point.
yeah.
You're removing the feed line from the whole equation.
And and if you can't afford one, you could always build a little matching device, just like I showed you, for a single band, and put it out there on the gutter, and work 40 meters, and it'll work great.
Yeah, it probably would.
Wire antennas are great. I took my towers down 15 years ago and didn't ever put them back up. I gave my towers away. I gave my my beams away. I had the Mosley Classic 33 antennas. Gave them away, and I love wire antennas. My neighbors don't even see my antennas; they're so hidden. How about you, Jason? You got a tower up there and all that?
I do not have one up. I have a tower laying down.
Yeah.
And I have a hex beam in the garage in the box. So
Yeah.
that it's been a 2-year project that I'm really wanting to get done this year. So I've just used a wire also, Tom. I have a 40-meter wire up. It's just a center fed piece of wire is all it is. No matching unit or anything.
Wow.
So I do a coax choke at the very top.
Yep.
Before it feeds into the center fed dipole, and I use it on my I was using a 706 Mark II G for a while, and then I switched to an FT 1000 MP Mark V, and then I've got a Elecraft KX3 QRP rig here that I'm going to be tuning up next, and we'll see. Maybe a flex one day too. So, but
Oh man, yeah, that'd be
but
cool.
yeah, I mean that's, yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get my hex beam put up this spring is what I'm hoping.
Well, hey, just put it up 10 feet in the air. I have a friend here. He goes to Dayton with us. He'll be with Dayton with us again this year. He was running his hex beam about 8 feet off the ground for years, and I
Really?
gave him my tower. I gave him about 100 feet of tower to put up over there, and let me tell you, you put a hex beam up on a tower, the neighbors start complaining. Let me just tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine so.
You got to tell them. You got to tell them it's clothesline, man. That's what you got to tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it dries close so much faster at 100 feet.
Right.
That's
hang
right.
up there.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, guys, it's we had a good discussion, I think, tonight. It's about
Yeah.
10 after 9, and enjoyed it. Oh, hey, let's talk about your channels. And first, hey, if there's anybody new that just joined us, let us know in the chat room if you're new, if you're a first timer. It's hard for me to read the chat as we're doing the show, but let us know if you're new. I'd like to tell us who you are and where you're from. And again, join our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. Do that, and then Josh and Jason, let's talk about your Facebook groups and your YouTube channels, and let's see if we can't get everybody to come over and join them too. So, Josh, you want to go first? Tell us about your
Yeah, sure.
your setup.
So, I mean, Facebook-wise, we have the Ham Radio Crash Course, which has been out for about a year, and it's a great group. You know, just lots of people talking about what their trials and tribulations going through amateur radio and getting started, and all the other things they're working into. It's fun because everybody's starting to kind of move into HF, which is awesome. And we have a Discord to go along with that. It's Ham Radio Crash Course. The fastest way to find it is if you go to my YouTube channel, which is YouTube Ham Radio Crash Course. This week, I live stream every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This week, we're going to be talking about the potential technician enhancement for the licenses that are out there, which is going to be, it's a hot button item. If you go on any of the Facebook groups or QRZ, there's lots of people talking about it, and I'm going to talk about not only where we're at now, but I'm going to talk about the history of what kind of brought us here and what's changed with ham radio and why this, may be important for some people and why people are talking about doing it. We'll also cover the TYRO, or the TYRO, which someone said they think it stands for Try Your Radio Out license, which I think is kind of interesting as well. So we'll be talking about that this Friday.
Well, that's cool. Jason, tell us where to find you.
Okay. Facebook is Ham Radio 2 DOT0. Ham Radio 2.0, and I have Discord also, which I just started Discord 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. I've got actually quite a few people in there. Got different channels in there for DMR. Got a channel in there for Arden Mesh Networking, which is one of my cool things I've been working on here lately. And got another one for a couple other things. Probably going to grow some more channels coming up as that grows, because like I said, it's only been out for 2 or 3 weeks. I do a live stream once a month. I started that actually in 2019, doing that this year, usually the first Saturday of every month. But it's if you go, somebody in the chat asked what's your Discord. Go to my I haven't set up a custom URL yet, but go my last 2-3 episodes of YouTube. It's linked in there in the description. This weekend is the Houston Hamfest. We'll be doing a live stream from the Houston Hamfest at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time this Saturday. So looking forward to that. Ought to be fun. And a couple weeks after that is another Hamfest out here. We'll be doing another one of those. So always talking about something with DMR on one of my channels, but I know I welcome other stuff too. Like I said, we're doing a lot with mesh networking out here in the North Texas area, so been getting into that here lately also.
All right, well, cool, guys. Oh, what else we want to talk about tonight? Anything? You know, normally we do a hangout. I think hangouts. I don't know if it's going away now or it's going away like the next week or two.
Yeah, we got to talk about Zoom. Zoom is the next thing I think you should check out. Zoom is a ham radio, or a hangout replacement that I think is worth looking into.
Well,
okay.
Zoom's a Skype replacement, actually. I've been using Zoom for my last 2 or 3 conference calls to record, and it works. On my end, it works much better than Skype does.
I need to try.
Look at that,
I need to try that because Riley can't get his Skype to work. You know. Now, do you have to download a client for Zoom, or are you just log onto a web page?
You can do both.
You can do both. Yeah, if you use Google Chrome, it's a plugin. It's an extension of Google Chrome, so it kind of pops up this little Chrome extension window and works that way pretty well.
Okay, you know, I didn't think about it, but Skype does have just the browser deal. You know, you don't have to have the Skype app running. I've used that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not that great, though.
It may not work. It may not work now. I don't know.
There's like 3 versions of Skype. There's the web page version. There's like the Windows approved version, like through the App Store, and then there's this other. I'm running through the standalone app, and I can't do the things I normally do on the other version, so it's very weird. Skype's kind of an interesting place right now.
Yeah. Hey, in the chat room here, I just want to yell out to that was NR9R. He's new tonight. I don't know how he found us. Maybe he heard us talking on the 40 meter net tonight, or maybe he came from one of you guys' channels. You know, I did post in your Facebook group. Guys, help us spread the word about all these groups. We're all in this together for ham radio and trying to help cross promote each other and just build it up. And we want to have the best ham radio experience we can here. So, and there was another couple of new ones in here I saw tonight. Thank you for joining tonight. Be sure and come back next week. And don't forget our 40 meter net on 7180 on Tuesday nights at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. All right, Josh, man, anything else going on there for you? You got any major projects or anything?
I just posted a video for the the Morse Morse code training tool, which is a Kickstarter that came out of Austria. And it's a standalone little unit that does, it's a keyer, so you can connect it to your radio if you needed that. It also has a decode capability, so again, if you connect it to a radio or an audio source. But it has a Koch method trainer built into it and all kinds of different other fun stuff. It even transmits on Wi-Fi, which is really interesting. I was learning about LoRa, which is something that's more popular in Europe. But for $90, it's a fun little standalone unit. You can check that out on my channel. And last thing, I did get a Slinktenna sent to me.
Oh yeah.
From
there
my buddy James on Twitter. So he's been using this Whisper and FT8, and he's been making contacts across the country with it. And so I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But for a QRP radio, it's not very heavy. Of course, as Tom mentioned before we kicked off the chat, you probably do need a tuner, though, and he does say that.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have a tuner with it. Well, you know, hey, FT8, man, I haven't worked FT8. I need to learn how to do it, but you can make a contact anywhere on FT8. Yeah. There are videos out there on YouTube where people are putting light bulbs in the window and actually making a 2,000-mile contact with a light bulb in the window. You know, now back 54 years ago when I was a ham, we used a light bulb for a dummy load. We put that right on the antenna connector, and we tuned that light bulb up for maximum brightness. That's what we did. But FT8 contact, man, want a light bulb. Cool. I'm going to do a tree.
Yeah, tree would be fun.
Yeah.
Tree would be fun.
That's going to be fun here. Okay. All right. Well, man, I had so much fun tonight. I hate letting this thing go, but you know, hey, I've skipped dinner tonight. Josh probably has too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Down in Texas, down here, Jason. I mean, they eat big steaks from all that cattle and stuff down here all the time. So he's probably not even hungry, man.
Yeah.
That was lunch, right?
Yeah, I had pizza tonight.
No.
So.
All right, well, guys, we're gonna go ahead and we'll close the show out. We enjoyed it tonight. Had a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week. Next week, Riley should be back with us to talk about the ARRL Volunteer Monitoring Program. That's going to be. There's a lot of interest in it. A lot of people have mixed feelings about that, and some like it, some don't. You know.
Yeah.
One guy posted, I put this in QRZ, the announcement about the show tonight, and the first post under my announcement that Riley was going to be here, they posted a picture of Barney Fife from Mayberry, under there. But most of the people came along, they liked it there. Hey, I'm excited about the balloon launch. I'm hoping by next Tuesday, we have our balloon launch. I hope that sucker's in the jet stream up at 42,000 feet. I hope by then it's halfway to Europe, if not already all the way to Europe. That's going to be a fun project too. Let's see. There's a question. What's frequency and time for the pre-show net? The net is at 5:30 p.m. Central. 5:30 p.m. Central Tuesdays on 7180 or nearby 7180. I always worry about somebody being on frequency or something. So we always try to be very careful and not bother anybody, but we've been very lucky the last few couple months that we've been able to get on 7180. 73 to everybody. Josh, go get something to eat.
All right.
And Jason, we'll see you later. And let's continue to take ham radio out there to everybody. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
we'll see you.
Good to see everybody.
All right. Good night to you.
Cool.
Let's see. There we go.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any questions?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.